Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, thanks a lot, Jess, and thank you for tuning into the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm Rich Walsh. I'll be joined by Chris Mueller in a matter of moments, and there he is right there, 412-575-2600 to get on board here tonight. Battling Buccos, bring out the bats, scored 19 straight runs in the last two games, and I think I got the fever. Chris, I think I got the fever back.
No, you don't. You do not have the fever back. Don't even joke about that. You know what's going to be the bad thing here? If this team of, I think, still cast-off parts and things that aren't part of a real winner plays even like, I don't know, 480 ball, 490 ball, plays roughly 500 ball the rest of the way, and ends up getting themselves, they still be like a 90-loss team or thereabouts, but they played 500 without Shelton. It's going to save Ben Cherington's job. It's going to convince all the people, specifically Bob Nutting, that, see, we just had to fire the manager. Everything else is hunky-dory. Certainly don't need to make any big and maybe expensive changes to this roster. We just needed to get Donnie Kelly in the chair of power. That would be a bad thing for the record because they should fire their GM, and whoever gets the job next should actually be empowered to spend more money on the big league club. Yeah, finally getting some run support for Paul Skeens. I think a big change is needed still, Chris. There's no doubt about that. I mean, these are two of how many games, right? They're 21-36. They're still a really bad team, one of the worst teams in the majors, and obviously one of the worst teams offensively in the National League still, despite breaking out the bats the last two games. But it is nice to see Henry Davis hitting. Brian Hayes coming up with some hits. And, maybe something like this can kind of cure Henry Davis, maybe get him out of that funk that he's in and maybe give him some momentum and, be able to get that swing back. I've certainly not been a fan of Davis. I've said on many times I don't think he'll ever hit steadily in the major leagues, effectively in the major leagues. If I'm proven wrong on that, great for all parties involved. I'd be happy to be wrong. He has done enough, or shown enough, just with the pretty mammoth, no doubt home run on the first pitch I think he saw yesterday when he came into the game. And with Joey Bart struggling to hit for any kind of power, and now having the on-base percentage drop too, you might as well go with Henry Davis. I know Bart is a number 2 overall pick in his past, but that was found money last year. You've got something invested in Davis, namely Ben Cherington's reputation. And again, to go back to my original point here, Rich, not to make a 10-1 win on the heels of a big comeback last night sound like a negative, but let's say Henry Davis starts to hit even to a solid, average major league hitter type of level, then that's going to be another feather in Ben Cherington's cap where he'll say, listen, everyone was ready to give up on this guy, but we just needed to be patient. We made the right pick. He's a serviceable, solid, even potentially above average major leaguer. Hey, look, that's another thing I did right. And I'll just continue to think that is largely fool's gold, that the Pirates would be foolish to put too much stock into. Yeah, I mean, even he's been playing pretty well. The limited time he's got the last, 7 games or so. He raised his batting average. He's finally in the 200s. He's batting 222 right now. I was hits for everyone here today. Even Jared Triola got 2. And he raised his batting average to 152. I don't even know how this guy's still in the lineup. Despite this amazing glove that he has, I wouldn't be playing him right now. All right, let's get to our Xfinity Live poll question tonight. Make sure you scan the QR code in the right-hand corner of your screen. Do these last 2 wins give you any hope for this Pirates offense? Our viewers think no. They probably agree with us. Cautiously optimistic is in second. I'm not cautiously optimistic. I know what this team is. They've proven to me how many times up until these 2 games. And then we're going to go through a spell, I think, Chris, where, you have these 2 games. They're outliers, and maybe you'll have a couple more of them, but then you're going to see another spell of just no hitting at all, right? When we were on this show, I was with Pony yesterday, but when we were on this show, before the show ended, I think they had 5 hits. They looked awful. Then all of a sudden, they had this spectacular 8th inning. So basically, it is, 11 innings of scoring runs, essentially, for the Pirates. I wouldn't call that heading in the right direction. To the extent that you believe in sayings like hitting is contagious, perhaps they'll go on a mini streak here, but the fact of the matter is most of the hitters that are maybe finally starting to show up who haven't been there don't really have a track record, to suggest that kind of performance will continue. Brian Reynolds is a guy who should raise his average. He's up to 222, same as Davis after this game, and he's a guy with an actual track record. But beyond that, who do they have that isn't well past their prime physically or age-wise? And I'm not including O'Neal Cruz on this. I think he belongs in a different discussion because he's actually been really good. But Brian Hayes, I think, is still more the player we've seen for all but the very beginning of his career offensively than he is anything else. So why would I expect this to continue with him? I mean, Henry Davis has the draft pedigree, but man, that again just feels like asking a ton out of a guy who too often when he's been up there and things are going bad, I mean, he looks like he's squeezing the bat into a toothpick, Richie, or he looks like a guy who's got like the putting yips or something. He's gripping the stick so hard, right? He can't do anything. So I think it would be a lot to expect this to continue from him specifically, and he is probably the one guy in that lineup that they have pinned a lot of hopes on who has shown virtually nothing to this point in his pro career.
Yeah, I still think no matter what they do here the rest of the season, they still need 2 more legitimate bats in this lineup, at least 2 more, and then a closer, a middle reliever, and then maybe we can talk about being somewhat of a wild card team or a contender in the division. We're going to take a break. Back with your phone calls coming up next. 412-575-2600. All right, welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. This is our Xfinity tweet of the night from Bob Nightingale, a guy that's definitely plugged in to Major League Baseball. Pirates ace Paul Skeens gets nice ovation on the road after pitching 6 2/3 shutout innings, yielding 4 hits, striking out 7 batters. He lowers his ERA to 2.15, still has not given up more than 6 hits in any of his career 35 starts, an MLB record. His career ERA is 2.03. Now, when you have a guy like this, it's a shame that you don't surround him with some talented bats. And the Pirates failed in the offseason. Ben Cherington failed in the offseason. Bob Nutting failed in the offseason. This season squarely falls on their shoulders.
Yeah, I mean, we all kind of knew it, too. I think they knew it. I've read there have been many comments made, Rich, this is not news, that their internal projections, like their own internal workups, had them probably as a high 70s win team that maybe if everything broke their way could get into the low and maybe mid 80s best case scenario. That's just ridiculous. It's unacceptable. When you have Paul Skeens, that's just an unacceptable way to go about building a ball club. It's fundamentally unserious, and it certainly undermines your organizational statements and things from the owner that have come out about urgency to win, things from the general manager. There's an urgency to win. Saying it is one thing, actually taking the action to make people believe that you're serious about it is another, and they did not do step 2 of that process.
Yeah, everyone wants to win, but only some teams can win. Let's go out to Chuck in Uniontown. Chuck, do you have Bucko fever?
First of all, thank you. No, I don't, because here I'm aligned with both of you 1,000%. The thing is, Sherrington's going to think that what is Major League Baseball average? Average doesn't win anything in baseball. Your championship teams are not teams with guys getting 100 in their lineup. That's all. They're light years away from.
Here's the problem, Chuck. Here's the problem, and I know you know this because I know you're such an avid Pirates fan and baseball fan. It's such a defeatist. I think it's the worst mentality in sports. We all know that baseball's regular season is the ultimate crucible, the ultimate proving ground. 162 games is where we find out who are really, what teams are really well built, who did a good job constructing a consistent winner. That's why, the Pirates' 98 win team in 2015, I know it didn't win anything in the playoffs, but by any other measure, would be considered one of the best teams in franchise history just for how good they were over that 6-month stretch. But now you've got all these guys like Ben Cherington, and it's not just him. I mean, there are other people who do this and do a better job of it. They think, well, the playoffs are so random. If we have good starting pitching, but we're only like an 83, 84 win team, we sneak in, we can set our rotation, we can beat anybody because playoff series aren't really analogous to what happens in the regular season. And sometimes they get proven right. And that has, the fact that you had a team, I don't know, Richie, I want to say it was the 2003 Cardinals, one of those early aughts years, that ends up winning 83 games and then winning the World Series. That's disgusting. Like, you shouldn't celebrate that. I'm sure Major League Baseball does to some degree, but then when you see one team do that, then you've got a bunch of GMs who think in small markets, well, that's going to be my meal ticket to success. If we can sneak into the dance, then anything can happen. And I really dislike that attitude that permeates too much of Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I don't know why you can't model yourself after the Cardinals. I mean, it's a similar city. They spend more money. They always win, no matter what. They're like the Steelers of St. Louis, you know. They win. They find ways to win, St. Louis does, and the Pirates do not. Let's go to Dana in Turtle Creek. How you doing, Dana?
Hi, guys. How are you?
Good, thanks for calling.
With the Pirates down this far, if the saying is true, they have nowhere else to go but up. Could it happen?
Yeah, barely, though. I mean, I don't even think they're going to be a 500 team the second half, whenever, you know, the second half of the season after
Give me
Shelton.
a win total, Richie. Over under 64.5 wins.
Under. I'm not. I
over
think,
under 60. Over under 62. Yeah, 62.5 wins. Are they going to lose 100 games?
I'm going to go on under. I think they're going to lose 100 games. I think they're going to be somewhere around 62 and 100, 61 and 101. I mean, look, they were on pace for 50 wins. You know, 2 weeks ago they were on pace for 40 wins. So
the one thing I'll say is this is supposed to be a harder part of the schedule, and they've held their own against Milwaukee and against Arizona, and they did horribly in what was supposed to be the easier part of the schedule. I would still bet on this team's overall lack of depth being exposed even worse as we get further into the summer months. It's just, I think that's when it's really hard for a team like the Pirates, if they're already well out of it, which they are, to keep any kind of focus. They're going to trade off potentially somewhat useful parts and have younger guys play, which might be more exciting or interesting for fans. But I do think it has the potential to get very ugly post-All-Star break for them.
Starting pitching can't win you every single game. You see what happens. I mean, you know, the way it is baseball now, starting pitchers don't go beyond 7 if you're lucky, and then they start bringing relievers. And the Pirates don't have the bullpen right now, and they definitely don't have the hitting. I mean, you can't continue to trout, Henry Davis out there. I know he's been hitting lately, but he was batting 1 and some change here just about a week and a half ago. Jared Triolo's batting 150. They put Tommy Pham out there every once in a while. Brian Reynolds isn't hitting. Maybe that turns around, but I just the cream rises to the top, and the Pirates aren't the cream of the crop.
No, they are not. They are more like, I'm trying to make a cream of wheat pun here where everybody just feasts on them, but nobody really likes cream of wheat. So
I like oatmeal better.
It falls apart. Yes, I would. Richie, who do you know that likes cream of wheat? I mean, I like oatmeal better, too. Do we know anybody listening to and watching this show who's like, oh, yeah, I really could use some cream of wheat right now?
Let's go out to Darren in New Kent. How you doing, Darren?
Hey, Darren. Thanks for taking my call, Rich and Chris.
Yep.
Just wanted to get your take on this real quickly. I really am disappointed with Aaron Rodgers. He's a 20-year pro, first of all. He's been in the NFL. And you would think that somebody of that caliber with that experience would love to play football, be prepared for OTAs, and come and practice with the Steelers. And the thing is, he seems like he's really not into it. And it's okay. I respect the fact that he was to retire as a Green Bay Packer, which is great. I respect that. But at least be a professional about it. I mean, at least Tom Brady, he's a pro. He comes in prepared. He wants to play. Just wanted to get your take on this.
Yeah, there's not many Tom Bradys. There's actually only one. But, you know, I think it's a typical 41-year-old veteran kind of move. That he doesn't want to be here for OTAs, doesn't think he has to be here for OTAs. His MVPs and his Super Bowl and his success, you know, maybe grants him that kind of leash. Do you agree or disagree? I mean, I think he should be here for minicamp.
The Steelers are allowing this, though.
Yeah, they are.
From Art Rooney on down, and to I almost said Mike Rooney. No, Mike Tomlin. But Art Rooney and Mike Tomlin both, in the posture that they've taken here and in the corner that they have willfully painted themselves into, have enabled Rodgers every step of the way. It's never been tough love publicly. It's never been, hey, either come here or don't, but here's a hard and fast deadline. They've continued to kind of just tap that door ajar because they know, and well, they think that he's their best option. It's obvious that some fans just want to see Mason Rudolph at this point, but the head coach and the owner have convinced themselves that it's Aaron Rodgers or bust. And so to Darren's question, why don't you see a guy who's a 20-year veteran acting with a little more, I guess, class, you'd say, or professionalism, decorum, whatever you'd say? Well, the Steelers have created a situation where he doesn't have to do any of those things. And I think if you know anything about Aaron Rodgers lately, you know he's not going to voluntarily be like an all-for-one and one-for-all type of guy.
They don't have another option. I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers or Mason Rudolph, essentially. If Aaron Rodgers doesn't sign, Mason Rudolph's going to be your starter. And they're
How much
probably
better are they with Rodgers? How much better are they going to be with Rodgers than with Rudolph? If you had to guess, 1 game better, 2 game better? What's the difference, actually?
I was going to do what you did. I would say 1 game, but I would set the over and under at 1.5. What do you think?
I'd say probably under. I'd say they're 1 game better. They'll probably go 9-8 with Rudolph somehow, because that's just what they're incapable of being worse, and they'd probably go 10-7 with Rodgers. Yeah,
I mean, the eye test told me that Aaron Rodgers is kind of trending in the wrong direction the last couple of years. I know he had that Achilles injury, but he's 41 years old. You can't beat Father Time.
Mike Tomlin puts so much stock, we've seen this with other players at other positions, in guys who ball out against the Steelers, which would lead you to believe that if a guy plays really poorly against the Steelers, Tomlin would be pretty uninterested. Rodgers stunk last year against the Steelers. He was the Jets' worst player for the last 35 minutes of that football game. I'm mystified at the infatuation that some people in this organization seem to have with him, such that they are letting him dictate terms like this.
Hey, remember this time last year, the Steelers were infatuated with Russell Wilson, and you saw how that went. We're going to take a break. Back in a couple minutes.